Welcome everyone to this Let's Play of Kerbal Space Program First Contract. Now, I've been looking through the list of available contracts for this episode, episode 12, and I have spotted this one. Now, you might think there's a typo in there, but actually that's 750,000 funds. I mean, that is just an enormous amount of funds that we have on the table from Kerbodyne Industries to test their enormous LFB KR-1x2 booster system. Now, we get 60 science, which is pretty handy, but on failure we will go bust. So this is a biggie, but being a gambler, I reckon we can do it. So I'm going to accept this contract, and I'll see you over in the VAB. Right, now, in the VAB, we have been given a prototype of this device. It's experimental, so we haven't yet researched it ourselves, so we've only got the one, or at least that's what you had thought, because I've had an idea. So let's start building the usual vessel for Jeb. Put him in a capsule. Let's put a parachute on the top. There we go. And let's get our usual science device, our engineering device. There we go. Put that on the side there. That will tell us how much thrust and delta V we have in this vehicle. Now, we have got to get one of these into orbit at least 81,300 meters. That's not very far above the atmosphere, so we ought to be able to do that. But how are we going to get there? It's going to be very, very heavy, and this mustn't be fired before we're in orbit. So this is basically dead weight to begin with. Right, so let us build our usual monster of machine. Let's put a separator in there so that we can get Jeb out of trouble if necessary. We'll then put in an adapter, and we will put in our engine stack. Right, now we don't need much fuel in this section, so let's take fuel and oxidizer out. That'll make it a heck of a lot lighter. So this is the stage that we're going to use to do our retro burn. This is the stage that's going to get us out of orbit. So let's get ourselves into orbit in the usual fashion. So let's put a couple of these decouplers on, and I think just for fun, why don't we use these monsters to get us into orbit? Brilliant idea. So let's alt-click and duplicate. Put those on there. So now we've got 4, and I reckon that's going to be plenty. So let's just get our staging right. Let's get that out of the way for a moment. Now we need to make sure this is kept well out of the way, because we don't want it to fire at the wrong moment. But we do need these in different stages, because we're going to fire these off last in the usual way. So these will be firing first, these will be fired and therefore disposed of first with our usual asparagus staging solution. So let's get that in place. But we're not going to feed into the central engine, because the central engine is going to be effectively dead until we do our retro burn. So that is our monster, and that's going to get us 4,900 delta V. That should be huge. So I don't think we're going to have any problems. So let's put our launch stabilizers on, get those in place, get those in the right stage, and then I just think we need to strut, because these things are going to be seriously potent monsters. So let's get ourselves some struts in there. That's those two. Let us get some struts here for these two, and we will strut. Oops. We will strut. I don't think it's straight, but it'll do. It'll do. It's not going to last very long. It's not going to last very long. So, and let's strut the tops as well. Oops. I'm not going to do four-way symmetry. Helps if I grab the right piece. Let's do two-way symmetry, not four-way. So there's those two. And let's get these two in place. Lovely. Now, we probably aren't going to be able to bring these back, but we are going to be able to bring these back and probably all of this. So let's get some parachutes. We need parachutes. And the more parachutes, oops, the more parachutes the better. So let's get these two parachutes because of the symmetry. That's going to go over there. So let's get, we're going to need more than two. We are going to need dozens. There we go. There's two on there. So let's get two on opposing sides here. They went over there. So let's get two here. We'll sort out the staging in a minute. And let's just slap on some more for good measure. Now, I did say we didn't need any parachutes on here, didn't we? So let's take those parachutes off and see if we can squeeze them in on here. Because these are the ones that are coming home. There we go. These are just going to get dropped. So this is our parachute stage. So we need everything in our parachute stage. Hopefully we're not going to need that. Move these up. Would have been easier to move the decouplers, wouldn't it? But never mind, we are where we are. Move those up. Move these up. Move that one up. And move that one up. Right. Okay, and I reckon we can squeeze some more in here. So let's, because this is single symmetry on its own, let's just 8 on there, get those again in the right stage. So if that's not enough parachutes, there are not enough parachutes in the world. Right, let's put our winglets on. I don't know what good these winglets are going to do on a monster machine like this. Is that symmetrical? Yeah, that's symmetrical. Let's shift click and lower this down towards the pad. So let's name this craft. I name this craft Test LFB KR-1x2. There we go. Save. So we've got our two, I know there's 4 physical engines on there, but they count as a single unit. So we've got our two LFB KR-1x2s. We've got our launch stabilizers. Then we've got our first set of decouplers, our second set of decouplers, which, well, we don't know if we're going to, well, hopefully we won't need to decouple. So we'll probably have to do some manual staging as we go to make sure we fire the right engines at the right time. So we'll have to adjust our staging when we arrive. Now we're going to have an enormous amount of delta V, so again we're going to have to adjust our thruster on the launch pad, so I will see you there. So here we have our monster launcher on the launch pad. Let's get the T key on in preparation for launch. Now I've got the surface information here because I think with this much thrust to weight ratio we are going to be going way too fast, way too early. So we need to keep an eye on our terminal velocity in order to make the most efficient use of our engines. So let's get this thing into space and earn our funds. So we need to match our terminal velocity without going too far over. So let's get ready to throttle back Make sure this doesn't exceed our terminal velocity, or drag is going to start making a monkey out of us. So there we go. Relatively well matched. Just throttle back a bit more, I think. Don't want to get too far ahead. And our first activity is going to be staging. So let's get our contract window ready so we know when we've met each condition. There we go. Our terminal velocity is not too bad. Good match there. Saving our fuel. Throttle back a tiny bit more, I think. And just watch for this stage to be ready. Throttle up a little. Because this is not going to have much more than fumes in it by the time we get into orbit. And stage. And throttle up. And get ready for our turn. So let's start turning over now as usual. I mean, it is quite a heavy vehicle, so we don't need to rush our turn. But like I say, we've got plenty of thrust in these engines, so it's not as if it's going to hold us back. So I think we need to pick up a bit of speed now. So our terminal velocity is racing ahead. Jeb looks as amazed as I am. So let's just keep an eye on our apsis height, because that is our target. Let's go for about 85. There we go, 86. Now we're going to lose a little bit due to atmospheric drag, but we've got a nice amount of fuel left to help us circularize. So let's just focus on curbing and get our maneuver in place. Let's pull on the prograde handle. There we go, a periapsis has appeared. Just keep pulling. 82, 85, that should be fine. Looks like our actual apoapsis is dropping slightly, so let's just move this back a bit. 84 and 83, perfect. Right, let's get prepared. 20-second burn. And let's get rotated. Now this is going to be a bit of a monster to rotate, so it's a good thing we've got plenty of time. We'll go on the 10. And let's just see how our delta V is panning out. Looks like we've got plenty of delta V left. I say plenty, just enough delta V. But that's all we need to pick up this goodly amount of cash. And not go bust. That would not be good for a Let's Play if we went bust this early on. So we are all lined up. Not quite. Come on, back you come. Back you come. Just gently tapping the key. Gently tapping the key. Too far, too far. So we're going to go on the 10. And we'll just have enough delta V. Perfect. Just enough is perfect. Getting ready. 20 seconds to go. Yeah, hi Jeb. Yeah, hi. Yeah, we know you're there. Just be ready. 13 seconds. 10. I'm not going to do the count. Jeb, you can do the count. Just get it right. 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Oh, look at those G. Yeah, Jeb. Look at those G's. You can tell Hadbart, he knows nothing about G-force. Let's get ready to kill. And there we go. All three ready. We slightly overdid it on the apoapsis, but it doesn't matter. Let's get ourselves turned around. As long as we've got 3 green ticks, we're laughing. we're looking for is the retrograde marker. And there it is. Just want to plonk it on the retrograde marker and then sort out our staging. There we go. Let's bring this down to the bottom. And let's watch that go green. There we go. Brilliant. Now it's not activated, so let's just get this activated. Here we go. So we've got a little bit of fuel in there, and we've got a smidgen of fuel in the other two. So, Jeb, let's go home and claim our cash. Just get ready and burn away. Periapsis now well inside the atmosphere, and we're done. All we can do now is drift. Let's just double check where we're going to land. Now we're going to land on the dark side, so there's not going to be much to see. So with that, I'm going to leave Jeb counting his cash, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.